So the first concept I'd like to talk about is owl eyes, which is simply keeping your eyes relaxed and looking with your peripheral vision. This is really important for the reason that animals don't like it when you stare at them. They take that as a sign of hunting. So looking at them with your peripheral vision will hopefully you'll be looking at them in a less threatening way. The other good thing to use that for is when you're hunting, you need to be able to look at the animal up ahead that you're stalking and simultaneously feel and watch out for big sticks and things like that on the ground so you don't make noise when you're stepping while looking at the animal in case it moves, in case you see that it's getting agitated, whatever it is. So owl eyes is really important. The second thing that we can do is don't face any animal with the front of our body. Face it with the side of your body or the back, or have your back to it. They feel a lot more comfortable when you do that, again, because you don't look like you're hunting. We don't want to look like we're hunting when we're walking through the woods or anything like that, because they'll be threatened by that. They'll be threatened by your body language and things like that, because they know when something is stalking and hunting. So we want to find a medium between walking silently and flowing through the landscape and stalking, unless we're right up on that animal and we need to stalk it. Alright, so the next technique I wanted to talk about is a really useful one, and it's really simple. When you're moving through an area where you think you might be alarmed, or you are being alarmed, and you want to ease the animals, pretend like you're grazing, bend down and eat wild edibles, or pretend to eat edibles, and just be a herbivore, and the animals will really become relaxed to you when you do that. As well as in combination with not looking at them and not facing them. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to talk about with using bird alarms to our advantages is that animals do everything they do for a reason, and the reason why they always take the least resistant path is because they're constantly conserving energy. So when a bird feels threatened and it alarms at something, it's because it's really feeling threatened. So that's a good, accurate method of telling if there's a predator over in another area, because they're not going to do it if there isn't one. So now I'm going to do a quick demonstration of fox walking and share my thoughts about it afterward. In Horace Kephardt's book, there's a quote by H.G. Dulog, and it says as follows: "If the Indian were turned to stone while in the act of stepping, the statue would probably stand balanced on one foot. This gait gives the limbs great control over his movements. He is always poised. If a stick cracks under him, it is because of his weight and not by reason of the impact. He goes silently on and with great economy of force. His steady balance enables him to put his moving foot down as gently as you would lay an egg on the table." Alright, so now I'm going to talk about fox walking. And to me, the main premise of fox walking is that you don't shift your weight to your front foot until you've felt the ground in front of you or you've looked at it and you know that you're not going to make any loud noises. So there's a lot of different ways to put your foot down silently. If I'm barefoot, which I usually am unless it's cold out, then I'll always feel the ground with my toes and the part of my foot right below my toes, so the forefront of my foot, and then I'll slowly roll my heel downward and then put weight on it. If I'm wearing shoes, I'll do the opposite of that, because if you're wearing boots, it's hard to arc your toes downwards. So I start with my heel and I do a rolling motion from my heel along the outside of my foot and then shift my weight to it that way. You'll instinctually figure out the techniques and just what works for you. To me, the most important thing about fox walking is feeling the ground before you put your weight on it. And also, if you, the more silently you want to walk, the slower you're going to go, and the slower you're going to put your foot onto the ground. That's pretty much what it takes to walk completely quiet over really loud substrate, is just taking the time to actually lower your foot completely onto the ground really, really slowly, and then shift your weight on it. One other thing I'd like to mention is don't lift your feet up higher than they need to go. I'm in the area that I'm in right now, there's a lot of ferns and things like that, so it's pretty tricky to walk through it really quietly. But just do what you need to do. Take the path of least resistance, just like the other animals in the forest. So those are my thoughts on fox walking. Now, another concept I'd like to go over is when you're moving towards an animal and you think that they might be looking at you or something like that, and if they are looking at you, then you should just stand still and then wait for them to turn before you move, especially with deer, because you can stock up on a deer if you move only when they're not looking at you, because they don't really see things unless it moves. So that's a good technique for deer. But watching your vertical movements with the upper half of your body, because if you're walking towards an animal and your vertical movement, say you need to duck under something, is really dramatic, like this, and then you keep going, the animal is going to have an easier time seeing you when you do that than if you were to make it go less dramatic, like this, and kind of spread it out more. So that's just another idea that I've been thinking about when moving. Hey guys, well, thanks for watching. I hope this helped. These are just some of my thoughts and my opinions on moving through the wilderness. Go out and practice on your own. Study bird language on your own. And I hope it helped, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks a lot.